What's going on in my marriage? How much time together is normal? My husband and I are together since 2014 and are married for 1 year. We have 1 child. Where to begin? Unfortunately, I am handicapped because of a chronic disease and cannot work anymore. I have worked as a high school teacher. He is working full-time as a teacher Monday and Friday until 1 p.m. and the other weekdays until 3 p.m. On his short days, he goes to the gym for 2.5 hours right after school. On Monday and Thursday evening, he plays soccer with some colleagues and visits the sauna afterwards. After he comes home from work, he does not want to communicate or spend time together, but sleep for about an hour. Afterwards, he drinks coffee, and then he needs time for himself. On the evenings he's home, he wants to watch his program on the TV, usually sports. So I spend my evenings alone with my iPad in my room. That's okay for me. We've almost slept separately since the beginning. On the weekends, he usually takes trips with our son, where I cannot join because of my disability. I'd love to accommodate some trips so that I might be able to join too, but he does not want our son to have to take this into account or miss out on anything because of me. Some days he goes hiking with some friends for a whole day on weekends too. That's okay, but every time I want to spend time with him, he says he does not have any time, and that I am needy, and that I just don't realize how busy he is. And when he spends time with me, he limits it, for example, "Ok, but only 5 minutes, I won't need to do this or that." And then he stands up after these 5 minutes. When I do complain and ask, for example, that he also takes time for sport, why not for me? He tells me that his sport is not negotiable, as he's not doing it for fun, but for his health. He slipped a disc last year and has been told to go to the gym. Whatever I say, I am always the one who doesn't understand how things work or who is demanding. I tried to tell him how I felt this afternoon and called him. I told him I felt lonely and sad, that he does not want to spend time with me. He just listened and said nothing, and then hollow phrases like, "Well, you will find time in the future." I said, "I can't take it anymore." He said nothing. The line was just calm. And then after a while, "I'm going to end the call now," and he hung up. Am I expecting too much? How much time do you spend with your significant other? We have a cleaning help that takes care of bathrooms, floors, etc. But we also have a dog, which takes about 4 or 5 hours of the week for him to walk, since I am not able to walk that long. He cooks most of the time, but our kid gets school lunch, and if he does not cook, I am not asking him to. It's heartbreaking to hear that you're being excluded from family activities and shown less attention than a pet or houseplant. You deserve so much more than that. It's time to have a serious discussion with your spouse about what they really want and if they're willing to be a true partner to you. You're not being too needy. This behavior is not normal in a healthy relationship. Stay strong and take care of yourself. Would I be the antagonist for not canceling the open bar at my wedding to accommodate my sober friend? My 27 wedding to my fiancé, 28, is in 6 months. We're having a medium-small wedding in my hometown, 80 people. And I couldn't be more excited to be marrying the love of my life, with all of my family and friends with us. We aren't doing anything crazy at the wedding. It's going to be an outdoor venue with buffet-style food and an open bar, like a lot of weddings have. One of my friends has raised a problem with the open bar though. She, we'll call her C, is 6 months sober from alcohol. She isn't by any means my closest friend, and isn't in the bridal party, but I care about her and have been there for her through her recovery. She's an old friend from college who lives about 2 hours away from my hometown. I don't know everything about her recovery journey, but I know she lived in a sober living facility for around 2 months after she lost her job due to drinking on the job. She's doing really well from what I know, no relapses, goes to Alcoholics Anonymous, and has found a new job. I invited C to my wedding 2 months ago, and she was so excited to come and celebrate with me and my college friend group. I didn't really think about the open bar when I invited her. For the wedding planning, I was mainly focused on the big picture, not individual concerns aside from allergies and things along those lines. I guess someone raised an issue with C coming to the wedding with my open bar because she called me last week and asked me if it was true that there would be an open bar. I said yes, and she blew up. It almost sounded like she was accusing me of trying to make her relapse, and I had no idea how to respond. I told her that I just didn't think about it in reference to her recovery. I told her that I love her and respect her recovery, and that I wouldn't be offended if she chose not to come to avoid being around people drinking. That wasn't a good enough solution for her. She said something along the lines of, "Well, can you get your deposit back?" This caught me off guard, and I told her that I didn't think so. I said that I wouldn't be canceling the open bar at my wedding just so she could attend. I tried to give her other options, like only staying for the ceremony or even bringing her sponsor as a plus one, but none of my options were adequate for her. Some of my friends are calling me the asshole, and some of them agree with me. My wedding is supposed to be about me and my fiancé, and I hate feeling like an asshole for having the wedding that we want. So would I be the antagonist for not canceling the open bar at my wedding so she can attend? As someone who is in recovery, it's important to remember that the responsibility for sobriety lies with the individual, not with those around them. Offering it to one's sober buddy is a great compromise, but ultimately it's up to her to manage her own choices. If attending the wedding with an open bar is too much of a temptation, then she should pass on the event. Am I the antagonist for asking my brother why he felt he was deserving of sibling loyalty? I, 21, had issues with my brother my whole life. He's a year younger than me and adopted, which is not something either of us knew right away. I found out when I was 9 or 10. He found out last year. My brother always had a jealousy of me getting any attention from our parents. He would lash out, he would taunt me by saying I was adopted and my parents favored him because he was their real kid. That was something he went to a lot. If something good happened, he'd say our parents were trying to pretend they gave a shit so I wouldn't know I was adopted. And when something bad happened, he would say it's proof of being adopted and how I know our parents really favored their real kid. He also came up with this incredibly hurtful story about my supposed birth parents. Like it was twisted the kind of things he came up with for that and he stuck to it. The whole "oh you're adopted, oh your real parents were shitty" lasted until I moved out 3 years ago. We didn't really talk after that, which is why it stopped. Once I knew that my brother was actually the one who was adopted, I would laugh internally at his lies and attempts to torment me. As a kid, part of me was excited that he might find out one day and get a taste of his own medicine, although his is not as horrific as he claimed mine was. But I was never planning to get involved. I didn't care enough about him to be the honest one. I sort of knew it could destroy whatever relationship we could have in the future. But we were already in a bad place, so I was like, not that much of a loss. He only found out because his birth parents, who are sorta connected to our parents, reached out to him after he turned 20 and told him the truth themselves. It really pissed him off to find out, and first time he called me up after finding out, he said it was supposed to be me, that he always thought it would be hilarious for me to realize everything he said was true, even the part about the birth parents. A few months passed between then and when he reached out again, and he asked me how long I had known, because he realized I didn't seem surprised. I asked why it mattered, and he said I should have told him. He said sibling loyalty would say I should have been upfront with him. This is when I asked him why he felt he was deserving of sibling loyalty, and he said I shouldn't be so stuck on shit that happened when we were kids. I asked him to name one good moment we had as brothers. He couldn't. I can't. We never had one. At least not one we will ever remember. He called me a dick and said I'd show him more loyalty if he was my real brother, even if we didn't get along before this. Am I the asshole? Not the antagonist, but the situation is incredibly sad for both of you. It's clear that something was lacking in your family dynamic, and it's a shame family therapy wasn't as common back then as it is now. Being adopted doesn't change anything in terms of sibling relationships, as shown by my own experience with my sister. Therapy could be beneficial for you to work through the past and prepare for the future, especially if you plan on having kids. My wife went out drinking with her male friend, despite agreeing not to do so. A bit of backstory. We've been married for over 4 years, and when we first started dating, my wife had this male friend with whom she would go out occasionally for a dinner and late-night drinking, just the two of them. We are both different nationalities and live abroad, and my wife met this guy when she first came to our current country of residence, and they became friends based on the fact they are from the same city and share some interests. Early on in our relationship, I brought up to her that I didn't really feel comfortable with her going out with her male friend alone. When I asked her if she would be okay if I did the same with a female friend of mine, she would jokingly say, "Absolutely not." After having a conversation about this subject, we agreed that she will only go out with him if I'm also invited. During the next couple of months, we would meet with the guy together once, and that was it. He eventually went to live in another country. She mentioned meeting him again recently in her home country. My wife texted me a photo of her and the guy sitting at a pub and having a drink, just the two of them. I got agitated and texted her to say hello to the guy. The next day we talked and I told her I felt betrayed. She said she didn't know I would feel that way. I sent her screenshots of our previous conversations about her male friend, and we decided to discuss it further when she returns home. I want to clarify that I don't accuse her of cheating. It's about not respecting the boundaries we both agreed upon in our relationship. She's willing to break one rule, so what guarantee do I have that she won't break another? She also seems to be hypocritical in her actions. It's clear that there are major trust issues at play in your relationship. The fact that your wife doesn't trust you to have a drink with a female colleague while expecting complete trust from you is definitely a red flag. The situation with her friend meeting up again back home does seem suspicious and could very well have been coordinated. It's understandable to feel like she may be lying, especially considering the circumstances. It's a tough situation to be in, especially if you have kids involved. Trust is crucial in any relationship, and it seems like there's a lack of it on both sides here. Am I the antagonist for refusing to go with my mom to our plans after she invited my brother and his girlfriend? Hi, I, 16, made plans with my mom to go to an event together about 2 weeks in advance. She hadn't mentioned anything about inviting my brother, 19 Jim, and his girlfriend, 18 Ava, when we planned this together. About 4 days before we were supposed to go, my mom mentioned to me while in the car running errands that she was going to ask Jim and Ava if they wanted to come. I told her politely I would prefer to just go with her, and I didn't feel comfortable going with them. My mom made a joke about how Ava probably wouldn't be allowed to go anyways because her parents are strict. I told my mom again not to ask as I didn't feel comfortable with them coming along. Jim and I don't get along well. We had moved on from the conversation, and I went on with my day assuming that we were just going together like we planned. The next day I had my friend over when my mom texted me that Jim and Ava were coming with us. I told her that I had said not to ask them, and that I'd rather stay home now, to which she didn't respond. My mom never mentioned anything the next few days up until the day of. About 15 minutes before we were supposed to go, Jim and Ava showed up. I walked off to my room to cool off, as I was now upset at my mom for disregarding what I had said. My mom came into my room to ask me if I was ready to go. I told her that I would just like to stay home now. We got into a massive argument, and I tried to get her to understand that I had felt disrespected and invalidated. My mom then started pleading me to come with her. I kept my cool and told her I just wanted to stay home. This is what makes me feel like the asshole. I feel like I was just being petty and I should just sucked it up and gone with them. My mom then left, and I had a major depressive episode and a panic attack. I spoke to a few friends about this situation to get some advice. When my mom got home about 3-4 hours later, I was on the phone with my friend sitting on the floor in my bathroom. She came and sat down next to me and asked me to talk. I told her that I had felt disrespected and that my feelings had been ignored. My mom told me that she always listens to me and takes my feelings into account. My mom then started saying that I make her feel like she's a bad mom, that I was manipulating her and had been being manipulative. My mom got upset at me and told me that she never spends time with Jim and that she thought he would enjoy this too. I told my mom that if she wanted to spend time with Jim, then they should make plans together, and that inviting him to our plans was disrespectful. I feel like my mom was playing the victim, saying that I was making her feel like a bad mom. I told her I needed space and time to think. Now I'm not sure if I was being the asshole in this situation. Am I the asshole? Not the antagonist. Your mother completely disrespected your boundaries by inviting extra people to your plans with Jim, despite your clear discomfort and objections. It's understandable that you're frustrated with her behavior, especially given the history of your brother's bullying toward you. Remember, just because someone is family doesn't mean you have to tolerate their negative behavior. It's important to prioritize your own well-being in situations like this. Keep setting boundaries and standing up for yourself. My boyfriend was accused of making female friend uncomfortable while I wasn't around. Who do I believe? A few months ago, I got pregnant with my boyfriend for the second time in a 3-month span. I'm young and not ready or able to have a child right now, so had to undergo a second abortion as a result. The night I was going to take the pill was also the night of my boyfriend's best friend's birthday party. I was uninvited to this party as his friends had turned against me after a night my boyfriend had gotten together with them while we were arguing and accused me of false things and was talking badly. As a result, they decided I was no good for him, didn't support, and I wasn't welcome at the party. Not that I could have gone anyways, since I had to have my abortion to have it done on the weekend, so I didn't miss any work. My boyfriend still went to the party that night, even though I pleaded he stay home just this time and explain to them, and hopefully his friends will understand. He thought it's just wrong for him to miss and said he won't stay too late. He left. I took my pill, and within 1 hour I was bleeding and cramps beyond relief. I was crying, wincing in pain, passing massive clots of blood. I was texting him, keeping him updated, and he would update me. It was getting late and I called him to head home, and he made me feel super guilty, said his friends were bitching at him for leaving early, etc. He ended up leaving at like 11:30 p.m. and was home just after midnight. Couple days later, his friends messaged him saying the sister of his best friend's girlfriend had mentioned my boyfriend made her feel uncomfortable and was hitting on her. His friends were initially upset, like keep it out of family, flirt with anyone else. He acted totally confused and said he didn't do anything. This girl is crazy. He blamed it on the girl's history of drug use and said she's not mentally stable and made it all up. I never talked to this girl or even the friends who were also at the party and must have observed something. I reached out to the girl and she ignored my message. I'm completely torn and don't know what to believe, and feels wrong to think this accusations was complete delusion and had no basis. What hurts me the most is knowing something went on that night that crossed a boundary, the girls in our relationships. All the while he made me feel guilty for wanting him to stay home. All the while I was dying in pain alone. He knows how I feel about it but doesn't really seem remorseful or even take any accountability. He says he didn't flirt or cheat, but I have two complete opposite stories and would be an idiot to believe either side. Is my only choice to leave believing the worst or stay believing the best? How do we overcome this break of trust and love? Any man who won't be at your side during a painful and traumatic experience he was partially responsible for is not worth your time. It's clear he doesn't love you at all, especially if he prioritizes a party over your well-being. His behavior of painting you as crazy is a red flag that he's not a responsible or caring partner. Perhaps it's time to reevaluate the relationship and focus on finding validation from within, rather than seeking it from toxic individuals. And if you find yourself needing 2 abortions within a short time frame, it may be a sign to educate yourself on responsible sexual behavior and emotional intelligence. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.